Over the years, we have been privy to some spectacular NFL duos. Heck, sometimes even trios. Players that synergize so well with one another that they're sort of dependent on one another. And that kind of dependency becomes glaringly obvious when those players get separated. You've probably heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, that certainly relates to the NFL, especially when a set of specific teammates are enduring so much success together. But in the NFL, it's hard to keep the band together for long periods of time. Whether it's drama, strained relationships, trades, or money-related issues, some of the all-time best NFL pairs have split up at the worst possible times. And, well, they simply weren't the same afterwards. So here are the 10 sets of NFL teammates who never quite recovered after splitting up. And hey, a big shout out to Devin Durhart for suggesting this video. Tony Romo and Terrell Owens. After his unforgettable split from the Philadelphia Eagles, Owens signed with the NFC East rival Cowboys in 2006. Owens immediately made himself at home in Dallas. After Tony Romo replaced Drew Bledsoe as the starter midseason, the Lone Star State had its first great QB wide receiver duo since Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. Romo and Owens led Dallas to a wildcard berth in 2006. A year later, they propelled the Cowboys to the NFC's top seed with a 13-3 record. Unfortunately, they were one and done, courtesy of the New York Giants. That, of course, led to T.O.'s unforgettable "That's my quarterback" soundbite.
It's my quarterback.
Romo missed 3 games in 2008 to injury, but Owens had another 1,000-yard season and Dallas fell short of the postseason despite a 9-7 record. But in an absolute stunner, Jerry Jones released T.O. after that season. Let's just say Romo and Owens never really recovered after that. Sure, Romo led Dallas to NFC East Division titles and wildcard playoff wins in 2009 and 2014, but that was it. With Owens as his go-to receiver, Romo and the Cowboys were legit Super Bowl contenders. Romo's play was up and down the rest of the way after Owens left. As for T.O., well, he had productive seasons with the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals in 2009 and 2010 respectively, but he never hit that 1,000-yard mark again and never even sniffed the postseason after leaving Dallas. It just wasn't the same for either player once they split. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. Ah yes, the Killer Bees. Remember that, Steelers fans? Roethlisberger never really put up eye-popping numbers until Antonio Brown, a 2010 6th-round pick, came into his own. AB put up his first 1,000-yard season in 2011, but he and Roethlisberger were really just getting started. Brown was the NFL's best wide receiver from 2013 to 2018, racking up over 1,200 yards in each of those 6 years. Brown, who led the NFL in receiving yards during the 2014 and 2017 seasons, earned 7 Pro Bowl nods in the Steel City. And then there was Bell, a 2013 second-round pick out of Michigan State who took over games with his all-around abilities. He was easily a top 5 running back from 2013 to 2017, racking up over 1,000 yards of offense in each season when he was fully healthy. This trio guided Pittsburgh to 4 straight playoff appearances from 2014 to 2017, including a trip to the 2016 AFC Championship game. The Killer Bees were the NFL's best offensive trio, and nobody could really stop them except themselves. And stop themselves is sadly what happened. Bell sat out the entire 2018 season because of a contract dispute. He then signed with the New York Jets in 2019, but never even came close to reaching his All-Pro form again, and he was out of the league by 2022. Brown became a huge headache on and off the field, and he walked out of a Steelers practice before their must-win Week 17 home game against the Cincinnati Bengals in 2018. The Steelers then traded him to the Oakland Raiders in the offseason, but he was released before ever playing a game for them because of his fiery temper. He lasted just 1 game with the New England Patriots before they released him following disturbing allegations. Sure, he won a Super Bowl 55 ring with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but AB wasn't exactly a star on that team. And we can't forget him quitting on the Bucs in Week 17 of the 2021 season. Before leaving Pittsburgh, he was a nice underdog story and on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Now, well, he's just a disgrace. Oh, and Roethlisberger never won another playoff game after the Killer Bees broke up. Too bad. Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas. Sherman Thomas and Cam Chancellor led the Seattle Seahawks' legendary Legion of Boom trio that propelled the team to a Super Bowl 48 championship. And they almost won another title the following year too. Unfortunately, a neck injury prompted Chancellor to retire after his age 27 season in 2017. This came just months after Sherman signed with the rival San Francisco 49ers following his release from Seattle. That left Thomas as the final Legion of Boom member standing in Seattle. His swan song 1 year in Seattle ended on a sad note, though, as Thomas broke his leg in a Week 4 game against the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, Sherman earned Pro Bowl and second-team All-Pro nods and helped San Fran to a Super Bowl appearance in the 2019 season, but his other 2 years there were marred by injuries and inconsistent play. He simply was not the same player that dominated for half a decade in Seattle. Thomas signed a 4-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens in 2019 free agency. He had a productive first season there, but was released after punching teammate Chuck Clark in practice. And no team ever signed Thomas after that. Braylon Edwards and Santonio Holmes. Edwards and Holmes were only teammates in Gotham for 1 year, but New York Jets fans know how that turned out. Despite Mark Sanchez's inconsistent play, Edwards and Holmes were among the NFL's most prolific pass-catching duos in the 2010 season. 1 year after Edwards helped New York get to the 2009 AFC title game, he and Holmes got gangrene back there in 2010. The cap-strapped Jets managed to re-sign Holmes in 2011 free agency, but Edwards left to join the 49ers on a 1-year deal. Edwards was then out of the NFL in 2013 after unproductive stops in San Fran, Seattle, and a brief return in Gotham. Holmes surpassed 700 receiving yards in each of his first 5 NFL seasons. After Edwards left New York, however, he never hit 700 yards again, and Holmes was out of the NFL after the 2014 season. It is such a shame. These two had something real fun going on in New York. Why did it have to end so quickly? Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain. Madison and Surtain. Yes, the father of Denver Broncos star corner Patrick Surtain II were teammates in Miami from 1998 to 2004. Both may lack Hall of Fame credentials, but they truly were one of the NFL's best cornerback duos ever. As Dolphin teammates, they combined for 7 Pro Bowl nods, 3 first-team, and a trio of second-team All-Pro nods. In their 7 years together, they combined for 57 interceptions. Think about that for a second. That is a lot of picks. In the 2005 offseason, Miami traded Surtain to the Kansas City Chiefs. He remained a decent corner there, but never earned a Pro Bowl or All-Pro nod again. In 2006, Madison signed with the corner-needy New York Giants. Though he won his Super Bowl 42 ring with them in the 2007 season, Madison saw very limited playing time and was well past his best before date. Carson Palmer and Chad Johnson. Before we continue, yes, we know Palmer had a brief career revival in Arizona. The 2015 season was the best of his career. That was when he led the Cardinals to the NFC Championship game, but Palmer just could not find that same level of consistency after splitting from longtime teammate Chad Johnson. The two spent 7 years together with the Bengals from 2004 to 2010. They led Cincy to AFC North Division titles in 2005 and 2009, and Johnson crossed the 1,000-yard mark 5 times with Palmer throwing him the football. Palmer requested a trade after a miserable 2010 season, and the Bengals initially refused to grant his wish, even though they drafted their new starter Andy Dalton in the 2011 draft. Having commenced a rebuild, the Bengals had also traded Johnson to the Patriots for 2 late-round picks. Johnson's lone season outside of Cincy was a flop. Though the Patriots reached the Super Bowl in 2011, Johnson was not the reason why. He had just 15 receptions for 276 yards and 1 touchdown. That would be his last season in the NFL. Palmer was traded to the QB-needy Oakland Raiders in the midst of the 2011 season after they lost starter Jason Campbell for the year to injury. Palmer went 8-16 as the starter over 2 seasons and threw 30 picks in 25 game appearances. Not great, Bob. Palmer spent his final 5 seasons with the Cardinals, but he was only healthy for 3 of them. And come on, let's be real, much of his success can be attributed to Bruce Arians and Larry Fitzgerald. Palmer was just not a consistent, reliable starter after leaving Cincy. Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib, and Bradley Roby. These 3 cornerbacks, along with safeties TJ Ward and Darian Stewart, made up the Denver Broncos a no-fly zone that struck fear into the hearts of opposing NFL quarterbacks from 2015 to 2017. But it was really Harris, Talib, and Roby who struggled most after leaving the Mile High City. Harris and Talib were both in the conversation for the NFL's best cornerback during their 4 seasons together as Broncos. Roby was often overshadowed by those two, but he too excelled big time in man coverage and had a nose for the football. After a frustrating 2017 season, the Broncos Bengals reloaded and traded Talib to the Los Angeles Rams. Roby left the Broncos in 2019 after arguably the worst season of his career to join the Houston Texans. Meanwhile, Harris Jr. signed with the rival Los Angeles Chargers in 2020. Though the Rams reached the Super Bowl with Talib in 2018, he was well past his Pro Bowl form. Harris and Roby have made several stops since leaving Denver, but it's been a few years now since we saw either of them play at an above-average level. Well, it was fun while it lasted, and nobody can take away that Super Bowl 50 championship that the trio won together. Andy Dalton and AJ Green. The Bengals began their reboot at the 2011 draft. They had home runs with their first two picks, selecting receiver AJ Green and quarterback Andy Dalton in rounds 1 and 2 respectively. Dalton and Green were two of the NFL's best QB receiver duos during their 9 seasons together. They led Cincy to 5 straight playoff appearances from 2011 to 2015, including 2 AFC North Division crowns, though the Bengals went one and done each time. Green earned Pro Bowl nods in each of his first 7 seasons in the league. Dalton, meanwhile, was named to the Pro Bowl in 2011, 2014, and 2016. Unfortunately, injuries limited Green to 9 games in 2018, and he missed all of 2019 with an ankle injury. 2019 was also Dalton's last season with the franchise until he was released, and neither guy has been the same ever since. Dalton was an occasional starter for Dallas in 2020, the Chicago Bears in 2021, and the New Orleans Saints in 2022. Green was largely unproductive in his swan song 2020 campaign with the Bengals, and he went on to play the next 2 years with the Arizona Cardinals. Green, of course, was well past his prime when he arrived in Arizona, just as Dalton was when he went to Dallas in 2020. Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. The Rams were blessed with one of the NFL's all-time great receiving duos who played together from 1999 to 2007. Holt and Bruce combined for 7 Pro Bowls and helped the Rams to a Super Bowl 39 championship. But when Bruce left the Rams for the division rival 49ers in 2008, it sadly marked the end of their prime years. Holt especially. Holt crossed 1,000 yards in 2007, which was Bruce's final season with the Rams. After Bruce left in 2008, Holt never reached 800 yards or 90 catches ever again. He had just 3 total touchdown receptions over his final 2 NFL seasons, the last of which was spent with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 2 seasons with the 49ers, Bruce compiled just 82 catches for 1,099 yards and 7 touchdowns. They honestly should have ended their careers the way that they started them, as Rams. Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson. The Chargers were annual Super Bowl contenders with Rivers in the Hall of Fame running back. LT won the league MVP in 2006, and the Chargers finished with football's best record that year. They reached the 2007 AFC Championship game and played in the 2008 and 2009 AFC divisional rounds. Clearly, the Chargers had something good going on here. That is, until they released Tomlinson in the 2010 offseason. Welp, the Chargers reached the postseason just 2 more times over Rivers' final 10 seasons with the team, winning just 2 playoff games in the process. Tomlinson went to the New York Jets for his final 2 seasons. Though they reached the 2010 AFC title game, Tomlinson's production just was not the same, even in the Jets' run-heavy offense. It was sad to see this dynamic duo split up when they did. I mean, who knows how much more success they could have had together. But which other NFL teammates weren't the same after splitting up? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.